What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on this Friday night, January 27th, 2023. It's about 8:30 p.m. here along the West Coast in California. And looks like the latest quake, a 1.4 down in SoCal. Also a 3.7 coming in here to the area of North Island, New Zealand. A little bit of activity ramping up here today. All right, let's go ahead and check out activity first here along the Cascadia subduction zone, looking at about 186 epicenters of tremor tonight, well, throughout the last day and evening time period. All centered right around Northern California area, the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone once again. So we did see some activity kind of ramping up over here over the last 24 hours once again. Good indicator of some regional strain out here along this area of the plate boundary, 3.2 and a 3.3 within that region. All right, now down here in New Zealand, nothing showing up as far as 4.0 and above goes. We did have some activity kicking off throughout the day, some very deep earthquakes into the area of the Tonga Trench, just south of Fiji. All four of these quakes, or three of these quakes in the 4 range, well down below 500 kilometers below the surface. We do have a little bit of activity kicking up here around the New Zealand area. For that, we're going to go over here to the GeoNet servers as we look at the latest information here. Now we've got to go here to the all magnitudes to see the most recent activity, 3.7 coming in just off the coast here of North Island, New Zealand area, about 23 kilometers deep. Did see some other activity, a couple 2s, and yeah, I think that 2 is a magic number here over the last 24 hours or so. Did have a 4.2 North Island, New Zealand area about 5 hours ago, 33 kilometers deep. So things kind of kicking up here, it looks like, within that region of New Zealand. A quick glance here at the volcanic drums shows some of the activity being picked up. Looks like around the Taupo supervolcano, getting in on a little bit of activity as well. Looking at the broader view here, aside from the deeper activity here and some surface earthquake activity down south, things are relatively quiet and calm across the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea area. And I'll glance here at the EMSC data as well, shows that absence of earthquake activity. This could be opening up a little door to seeing some seismic activity here soon in that little area. Now we did see some activity continuing there around the Molucca Sea, the Banda Sea area. Quite a few 4s and 3s, other earthquakes there in the mix as well. 3.2 down here into the Java Trench. After that, things are calm once again across the northern Java Trench area up through the Himalayas. And some of this activity here in China region from yesterday, or late last night I should say, some older movement quakes, and most of the newer activity across portions of Turkey and the Mediterranean region, it looks like, all showing a little bit of activity. The Atlantic Ocean, awfully quiet. Not a whole lot popping off there. Down into the Chile area, looks like a little bit of activity from early this morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. A couple 4s kicking off here. Caribbean plate area. Now, Puerto Rico starting to pick back up on its warming. It's been a little absent here off and on over the past couple weeks. Looks like that swarming activity has continued, along with a couple further earthquakes up here around the Mona Seamount area, 2.7, and also a little earthquake here, 3.3. That one coming in about 6 o'clock this morning. So, got to watch a Puerto Rico trench. It's been showing actually quite a bit of activity here recently. No further activity across the eastern portion of the country. These earthquakes here, actually, it looks like we did have 1.4, it looks like, in Missouri, 13 kilometers deep earlier this evening. So that one wasn't there during the update this morning, but a little bit of activity up there on the northern end of the New Madrid zone. Now, this earthquake down here in Georgia, 2.1 from about 4 o'clock this morning time period. A little bit of activity kicking off there around western Texas as well, outside of Pecos, Texas. A couple small earthquakes in the mix there. Yellowstone National Park, we got a couple earthquakes listed up here on the map. Most of them from yesterday, and one about 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, let's go check out the Yellowstone thumbnails here. Was kicking off a little bit of activity here. You can see it listed up on the map around Maple Creek overnight and this morning time period. Looks like things have tapered off here over the past few hours. A couple small earthquakes here listed up on the map. USGS, though, not reporting this. It looks like maybe they took most of the day off today because it seems like only 2.5 and above will be reported during the weekend hours, which is unfortunate because I kind of like to pay attention to what's going on out there with all the activity or lack of activity. All right, Mount St. Helens area, most of this activity from this morning. Couple smaller quakes here just to the northwest of Mount St. Helens. And down in Northern California, of course, we checked out the activity along the Cascadia. Still seeing some activity, of course, south of Clear Lake into the Clear Lake volcanic field. Calpine hydrothermal operations out there in full swing. Bay Area has gone awfully quiet. Not even a single peep of an earthquake here across the area. Quiet as a mouse, so to speak. Ridgecrest area, seeing a little bit of activity kicking up within the last hour, including a 1.1 and some other earthquake activity prior in the low microquake department. A little bit of activity out here in the northern end of the San Bernardino Mountains. It looks like a 1.4. Very shallow earthquake just off the Waterman Canyon Fault, a ways away from the San Andreas Fault there. Speaking of the San Andreas Fault, not a whole lot going on around it right now. These earthquakes down south here around the Salton Sea from earlier this morning. No major swarms to take note of across the area of Southern California currently. Up into Alaska, well, this area is definitely kicking up here a little bit. Notice the uptrend here. Uptick in activity across the Aleutian Trench. A couple different areas swarming around Trident Volcano. And most of this activity, though, here as we zoom in, fairly shallow up here around the subduction levels, around the Fox Islands, all showing some slight uptick today. Western Pacific here, very quiet. Nothing going on across the Izu Trench or the Mariana Islands. A look here on the globe confirms that, along with the EMSC data. So very quiet in these two spots here. Talking about Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, and of course up here north of the Mariana Islands. All very quiet. Now, there was an earthquake up here, up in Canada. I think I got to go to the Earthquakes Canada map here to see that specific earthquake. See if it's still up there. There it is. I'm surprised the EMSC or the USGS didn't report on this. It's possible, though, looking at that timestamp, that it's been over the 24-hour period. Let me zoom over here real quick and see. No, it's not listed. Even if we go back a couple weeks here, it's not listed. So, not for sure what happened. But either way, Earthquakes Canada reporting an earthquake here outside of the Prince George region. 4.4. Earlier, let's see here, that's going to be UTC time of today, 2038. And right now it is the 28th, 0438. So we're talking about what, 8 hours ago? Somewhere around there. So it should be listed on the USGS or the EMSC model, but it's not. Let me see if I can find out some info on it. 4.4, Prince George now. Let's see here. Let's go over here and check this out. Prince George area is back over here. I'm kind of just getting a little view of where this is at. See what the area looks like in regards to this region. Satellite view. I'm not for sure if there's any oil pumping operations out here or not. It doesn't look like it. I know, a couple months ago here we had quite a bit of activity, but that was kind of over here further east, eastern side of the Rockies. Got some activity that was occurring out there in the oil fields. But either way, a little bit of activity here around the Prince George region being reported by the Earthquakes Canada folks there. Let's see if this has been reviewed. No reports of damage and none would be expected. Looks like it was lightly felt in Prince George, BC region. So yeah, I'm just kind of surprised a couple agencies there just ignoring that. Alrighty, well, let's see. Alaska, aside from that movement up here along the Aleutian Trench, things look very typical across the region of about Fairbanks southward there with some small microquakes. No unusual activity across the map that I can note. This earthquake down here from last night, well south of Australia along the Antarctica, Australia plate boundary here. That kind of an odd one, but we do get earthquake activity out there on occasion. A little divergent boundary. Let's see here. Yeah, just kind of watching this, folks, seeing how it plays out. A couple different quiet zones. Hard to tell exactly where this movement's building up at. I know we're still keeping an eye on this area north of the Java Trench throughout Nepal, the Myanmar area. These areas right here are they've been quiet, very quiet. And we've seen a trail of activity here over the last week, and all kind of ending here at the northern end of the Java Trench. But right now, with this deeper activity occurring way down there underneath, kind of seems to all start down there. We should watch for adjustment either upstream here along the Kermadec Trench, Tonga Trench area. That could include areas around New Zealand along with this plate boundary. But if there's not enough strain or stress built up here, we got to watch these zones right around here. It tends to always play out in that type of response. Deeper earthquake activity with that westward pressure movement adding strain and stress within these zones here. All right, quick look at volcanic activity here. Kilauea volcano still continuing. Let's go ahead and check out the latest information here from the USGS volcano site and their update here of Kilauea volcano. This was put out today, the latest update, Friday, January 27th. Looks like the summit eruption of Kilauea volcano within the crater is continuing. No significant changes have been observed at the summit or in either rift zone. So it looks like the eastern lava lake has one dominant fountain and an area of approximately 25 acres. So yeah, nothing major changing. Just a continual eruption going on here at Kilauea volcano. Again, no unusual activity around the East Rift Zone. Kind of seeing how it's playing out. Not a whole lot of changes there, folks. Let's see what else we got here. Space weather activity. That's going down. It's going down as far as activity goes. There's not a whole lot of hope left with these sunspots in terms of, well, solar flare activity. There's numerous sunspots here, but they're all on the very quiet side, the well-behaved side, so to speak. And these numbers here are just a little bloated, I would say. I'm not for sure what they're looking at in terms of the sunspot regions. Maybe they're still thinking about far side sunspots, but I don't think so. These guys shown in 99% certainty for a C flare, M flare at 35, X flare at 5. You can probably cut this down to about 10. This down to 1. This may be at 50. Things are very mellow right now across the area. A little coronal hole, 72. It's wanting to turn into view here, directly facing Earth. And it's very possible we could see a little bit of amplification here with the 3-day. Once the charged particles from that solar wind stream reach Earth here, probably after the 1st or 2nd of February. But no guarantee. doesn't look like that big of a deal. And far as other sunspots go that are coming around the bend, I really don't see anything promising here. There's a couple sunspot regions, but these do not look like they pose any credible threat currently as far as any major flaring activity goes. Quick glance at the weather here. This is going to be the national model, of course. Got a lot of cold air coming down once again into portions of the plains. Southern plains getting in on some colder temps again. Now it looks as though the south is going to get quite a bit of rainfall here come. Looks like this is a date for Sunday. It shows Monday UTC time. It's going to be late on the day on Sunday around 6. And some colder air squeezing on down south. That includes areas around Northern California as well. We're getting quite a bit of colder air coming in next week. And after that, return of rainfall, it looks like, still coming into the west coast around late Thursday, early Friday, with that low pressure system bringing in some further moisture to the west coast. And as I mentioned last night, it tends to open up the storm door, looking somewhat promising here across the area. So that is, I think that's some good news here. Here's these temperature charts here as we look at, let's go to about Saturday or so. Here's that cold air coming down. Notice the lighter colors indicating some, temperature differences from normal. These are going to be a lot of cold temperatures coming down. That includes, as I mentioned here, California is getting in on some of the action, but the brunt of it here will be, looks like around Kansas, Nebraska, but portions of the panhandles around Texas and Oklahoma. And as you can see, winter's definitely not done. There's going to be a couple other systems hitting around the eastern seaboard over here. But overall trend here, I kind of like to look at these broader models with these symbols. And hold on a second here. I kind of like to go way out and see what we have for. Let's see if I can figure out where I'm at. As far as the pressure differences go, blue is going to be in the low pressure range. Of course, colder air, unstable conditions. There's a dominant super high pressure system up there into the Gulf of Alaska region. Hopefully that disappears. I do not like that. That brings some drier conditions to the west coast, but let's see what happens to it. Kind of gets, kind of stays in position there, but that colder air is coming down in the portions of Northern California. Kind of want to see that a little bit different trend here. There it goes. See that high pressure just demolished itself. Super strong right over the Gulf, and it just gets squashed and kicked out of the way with a low pressure system here. This is what I'm looking for weather in California, and that's going to be, as I mentioned there, about the 2nd or 3rd of February when we'll see some further rainfall. Good news. We don't want any dominant high pressure systems out here. At least I don't anyway. I mean, we have 7 months out of the year here in California where it's above 100. So I will take all the cold, wet weather we can get. That I will not complain about one bit. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Enjoy your Friday night. My brain is a little bit fried tonight from all the, all the schoolwork going on. I'm taking a couple different classes right now. In the fall class, I'm trying to major in physical science right now. But, geology, geography, a bunch of other stuff when it comes to weather and earthquakes and whatnot. But I decided to switch it up a little bit and take some, criminal stuff as far as law enforcement goes. I think it's kind of cool. I'm studying a whole bunch of evidence and whatnot. A couple different classes. It's kind of a little bit overwhelming. I know quite a bit about law enforcement, but this is a whole new world But it's kind of cool. I like it, but it's overwhelming at the same time. But I will push through it. That's just two of my classes. The other classes, they're taking some other relevant physical science classes there. But it's definitely worth it, right? I think any knowledge is good knowledge, and you can never learn too much, I think, anyway. Except for on days like today, when you have like 4 or 5 tests, and they're all due by, a certain time. But that's all right. We got them all done, and we're going to continue on. Have a good night, folks. Stay safe out there, and we will chat you guys sometime tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? It is. It's the weekend. Stay safe out there. We'll catch you guys a little bit later.